I believe that the Community Reinvestment Act has had a proud genesis. 33 years ago in '77, redlining was clearly not insignificant. Too many low-income and minority individuals' credit opportunities were limited to a handful of banks that might have been reachable on a city bus route. But 33 years later, much has changed. Interstate banking, branch banking, internet banking, risk-based pricing, all have helped revolutionize and democratize credit in our society as never before. If you can gain access to the internet at a public library, if you have access to a telephone to call a toll-free number, you can unlock countless credit opportunities that, again, for credit cards and home loans that were simply unavailable 33 years ago. Market competition from companies, say, like LendingTree.com, Bankrate.com, CardHub.com, and many, many others, now provide low-income Americans with a platform to access competitive bids on financial products all across the U.S., not just in localized geographic communities. In fact, the concept of a localized geographic community for banks is simply antiquated. Now, unfortunately, the recession, not to mention much anti-consumer legislation which has been passed by this Congress, continues to erode credit opportunities for many of these low-income Americans. That is regrettable, but it brings us to the great irony of this hearing yet again. 33 years ago, if you examine the congressional record, what you see is the debate surrounding CRA was all about discriminating financial institutions, denying credit opportunities to low-income and minority individuals. Now today, much of the debate is about greedy financial institutions exploiting low-income and minority individuals by making too much credit available to these communities. So it begs the question, is it too much? Is it not enough? Regardless of what CRA was, today it is a costly and redundant anachronism that has contributed to our economic crisis and still enables certain activist groups to essentially shake down financial institutions, harming credit and job opportunities for all Americans. Federal Reserve data has shown that well over 99% of all banks are already in full compliance with CRA. Yet we know that community banks can spend up to $90,000 a year just to prove compliance. Again, it begs the question, are we simply having banks pay all these great sums of money to prove that they're doing something they would do anyway? Do you really have to force a bank to make a profitable, credit-worthy loan? And if not, are we forcing them to make loans to a universe of people that they may not otherwise make? And these loans may not be financially sound loans, and indeed they may be loans that help contribute to our economic crisis. And when we talk about CRA loans contributing to the economic crisis, I have long contended it wasn't the size of the loans, it wasn't the number of loans, but it was one more precedent where the United States government put its imprimatur on a system that did not raise up the economic opportunities of the borrower, but instead lessened the credit standards of the lender. Thus, it played a role. Also, every community banker I speak to tells me that equal or second only to BSA, CRA is their most costly compliance matter. If they simply had the money that they are spending on compliance cost, they would instead be able to capitalize at least several small businesses in their community and create hundreds of jobs. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to yield myself an additional 30 seconds.
Absolutely.
Shouldn't jobs be the #1 priority of this Congress? Clearly it is not, though. Under the policies of Speaker Pelosi and President Obama, almost 4 million of our countrymen have lost their jobs since the President has been inaugurated. We have the highest unemployment rate we've had in a quarter of a century, not to mention a tripling of the national debt. One thing our committee could do that would take a positive step in creating more jobs in America is simply to repeal CRA. Today, I will be introducing legislation to do just that, and I urge its consideration. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back the balance.